to the kingdom. Cheers. A toast to the king.
You elect will drink wine new with Yahweh Shai. You elect. As of right now, we say hopeful elect. You elect of Israel out there will drink wine new with our Lord Yahweh Shai in his Father's kingdom, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven here on this planet Earth once Yahweh Shai returns. When our Lord comes back, one of the first things he's going to do is have a toast with his men. He's going to have a toast with his men, those that stood stiffly for his name and his Father's name. Let's read this one more time. Matthew chapter 26, verse 29. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, which is wine, which is made from grapes, as you know. And our Lord, he loves to drink, man. That's something that our Lord took pleasure in when he was here on this planet Earth. He's not going to do it anymore until he returns to do it with you, showing just how much he loves his elect, man. He's not even going to drink until he does it again with you. I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So what a moment that's going to be, man. And you can only imagine the quality of wine that's going to be. Our Lord Yahweh Shai, he has access to different things that we don't even know about, man. Access to different grapes you don't know about. Has access to an entirely different quality of life that we don't know about. But he's going to reveal it to you. He's going to give it to you when he returns. Now, you have what's called a loyal toast. A loyal toast. I'm going to read this real quick. A loyal toast is a salute given to the sovereign monarch or head of state of the country in which a formal gathering is given. In this case, the sovereign monarch or head of state would be Yahweh Shai. He's our sovereign monarch. He controls everything, man. But guess what? He's also going to extend that power to you elect. He's going to share that power with you. A loyal toast is a salute given to the sovereign monarch or head of state of the country in which a formal gathering is given, or by expatriates of that country, whether or not the particular head of state is present. In this case, the Lord will be present. So you're not going to have someone speaking for him giving a toast. He's going to host the toast. He's going to be there, man. We're living in a time we're going to meet Yahweh Shai. You're going to meet him face to face, which is proof also that we have to be changed. We can't meet the Lord like this. He's going to change you. He's going to crown you, and he's going to toast with you. Now let's read some more. It says, it is usually a matter of protocol at state and military occasions and a display of patriotic sentiment at civilian events. The toast is usually initiated and recited by the host, which will be Yahweh Shai, before being repeated by the assembled guests in unison.
To the kingdom. Cheers.
Sometimes when Akim are among each other, we'll do little small toasts. Brothers may be like La Yashirala, holding up cups. But imagine the Lord himself hosting it, man. And we join in. And I was reading something else, and pretty much they said in order to have what they call a loyal toast, you would use wine. That's the beverage of choice. And once again, our Lord, he's coming back, and we're going to see him with all that power, man. But he's going to extend that power to you. Now, reading on a monarch, it says a monarch is a head of state for life or until abdication, in this case for life. And therefore, the head of state of a monarch may exercise the highest authority and power in the state. Or others may wield that power on behalf of the monarch. And that will be you joint heirs. You different men that are going to reign with the Lord, man. Usually, a monarch either personally inherits the lawful right to exercise the state's sovereign rights, often referred to as the throne or the crown, or is selected by an established process from a family or cohort eligible to provide the nation's monarch. In this case, the Heavenly Father Yahweh himself selected his son Yahushua. And once again, when our Lord returns, he's going to wield that power to you elect as well. Once again, he's going to change you, he's going to crown you, and he's going to have a toast with you. A kingly toast.
To the kingdom! Cheers! A toast with the king! Raise your glasses, my friends. A toast with the king! A toast with the king! Raise your bubbles, everyone. A toast to a prosperous future. To the king, to our glorious future. To the victors, blow the spoils. Raise your glasses. Cheers. Raise your chalices to the golden age of our kingdom. A toast to the king.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word of truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers and listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Well, I want to get into the day, this morning. All right. News and prophecy going into 2026 looking promising, for prophecy, man. As we've been tasked, all right, by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, to be watchmen, to look out, see what's happening, and filter these things through the prophecy written in scriptures, okay, because that's, the clock that we have to let us know. It's an indicator, prophecy is an indicator to let us know how close we are, okay, until the return of Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, let's go from there. Let's get this in the book of Habakkuk, okay, and I want to get that in Luke as well. This is Habakkuk 2 and 3. It said, for the vision, the appointed future time. You see what? All right. So what we have to understand, prophecy is for an appointed time. It's already appointed. There's an exact time, okay, within existence that the Lord has it, all right, for certain prophecies to pop off, okay, or to begin to gradually, come into effect. Everything that the scriptures, have prophesied, that the Lord has prophesied through the scriptures. Well, these things either have happened in its history now, okay, is happening, or will happen. Okay, there's no prophecy that's going to go, all right, unfulfilled. You see, it's just a thing of timing. Okay, it's all in the Lord's timing. So all these prophecies have their appointed time to be fulfilled. As you read, it says, "For the visions yet for the appointed future time, it hurries towards the goal of fulfillment. It will not fail, even though it delays. Wait patiently for it, because it will certainly come. It will not delay." There's Habakkuk 2 and 3 in the AMP. You know, so these prophecies have an appointed time of fulfillment. Okay, and that's the patience and faith of the saints, is that we await these prophecies to be fulfilled. But it's already guaranteed. All right, that these things will happen. This is a guarantee. You had on it. All right, the things that are written in scriptures. Okay, so what we're seeing happening now, is we're going to 2026. It's going in with bad news for this world. Okay, it's going, see, usually, promising, and like you survived the year before, and now it's promising, and going to get better, and you know so this year you don't feel that. Christmas was weak as water. Okay, you had people talking about, they were celebrating with a dry Christmas. Christmas with no gifts. In big cities, not uh doing, the New Year's party and countdown and fireworks, man. As the scriptures say, the mirth is beginning to cease. Okay, and because no matter, and you would always have uh, a New Year, which kickstart or freshener, going into the next year. You know, was you going to the whole New Year, Roman god Janus, the god of new beginnings, and the enchantments behind that. Okay, but people just had this, relief if they made it to the new year. Well, now you have the spirit in the earth where people are dreading what 2026 is going to be like. Okay, because 2025 was so rough. Well, we're here to tell you it's going to be way worse. Okay, that's what 2026 is going to be. It's going to be way worse, man. Okay, so real quick, let's go. So I want to get that in Luke. I believe it was Luke. Is it 22? I got a few videos I want to get into as well. All right, just going into the speculation of 2026. Um, it might be 21. Because when you go into the book of Luke, it's similar to Matthew, the 24th chapter, going into the signs of the times. Okay, and we're seeing all these things happen, earthquake, pesticide, the wars and rumors of wars, because we know when um the actual war breaks out, this third world war, well, okay, he's getting ready to return. He's going to enter this realm in the midst of that war. Okay, and we know, civil unrest has to happen leading up to this war, leading up into the MOT being made mandated. Okay, so 2026 is looking promising, man. For prophecy's sake. All right, not for Babylon being here in 27. And this is why we watch prophecy, because it's all geared around the second coming of Yahushua. Okay, that's why prophecy is at the forefront, of teaching, because it's ushering in Yahushua. Okay, Luke 21:27 says, then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, okay, with transcendent, overwhelming power. All right, subduing the nations and with great glory. Okay, Yahushua is coming with the chariot of power, all right, that this world can't produce. Okay, you see, the power that Yahushua is coming with to judge the earth in righteousness is a power that this world can't produce. It's coming from another realm of the worldly power. Okay, and it says subduing the nation. It's going to be a righteous takeover. Okay, the earth is getting closer and closer to a righteous takeover, man. Okay, as we go into these events of what's happening and things are getting worse, well, it's all leading to a righteous takeover. All right, from our King, our brother Yahushua, man, Malak Yahushua. Okay, verse 28 it says, "Now when these things begin to occur, stand tall and lift up your heads in joy." You see, no one should be rejoicing more than us, man, because everything we need to happen, all right, for Yahushua to come back is happening, man. All the promises and blessings and the favor that we read about that's coming, to Israel, beginning with the elect. Well, everything needed to happen for that to play out. Well, it's happening, man. We should be rejuvenated through seeing the Lord, all right, seeing the prophecies of Yahweh Bashem Al play out, man. Okay, to see the will of the Lord play out in the earth, man. This is our joy. While people are becoming more depressed, okay, people are becoming, more anxious and defeated and just, out of there, man. Our joy is increasing, man. You see? So when we see these things, man, we should have joy in seeing the Lord's, all right, mighty work in the earth, man. It says, now when these things begin to occur, stand tall and lift up your heads in joy, because suffering ends as your redemption is drawing near. Okay? So the suffering of the elect ends and our redemption is drawing near. Because it's a vexation to be in this wicked kingdom, man. Okay? And Yahushua is coming to end the vexation for his hopeful elect. Okay? And execute righteous judgment in the earth, man. Okay? Because that's what the earth lacks. Okay? Is a righteous judge, man. So Yahushua is coming to be their righteous judge, all right, in the earth. Okay? So let's cue this video up and get some precepts the brother got. So let's start off with this one first. All right, these major cities. All right, it says major cities cancel New Year Eve party, extremely concerning. Okay, and then with this too, we know these devils, are doing this so they can, spin the narrative, for an agenda. Okay, that they got. Okay, so let's go here. This the brother Beyond Yasha 2nd Ezra 7:41, it says, even so now, seeing corruption is growing up and wickedness increase, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly, wherefore shall it not now also, So Ezra, was speaking about, mercy, okay? The mercy that the Lord showed, all right, Abraham, and he showed toward Abraham and Lot, okay, which they were spared from that judgment, okay, in Sodom and Gomorrah, okay. But see, that was just an example of the judgment to come. You see, And of that lineage of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, there's a remnant that's going to escape this judgment. Okay, verse 42 says, He answered me and said, all right, this present life is not the end, where much glory doth therefore have they prayed for the weak. See, it wasn't time, all right, for the Lord to end, okay, wickedness once and for all right, during that time. You see, now we in that time, and it wasn't time for the sons of God to be glorified. See, now we're in a time where the Lord is finna put an end, all right, to wickedness, okay, being in power. Okay, and he's finna establish his sons back in power. And we're going to be established with their glory. We're going to be immortal. We're going to be gods in the earth, man. Okay, we're going to be an extension of the glory of Yahweh Bashem Al Shah. It wasn't time for that then. Okay, but now this is the time, all right, where wickedness, okay, is going to be snuffed out the earth. Okay, no more to dominate the earth again. All right, the nations are still going to need to be judged. They're going to go off at particular points. Okay, but having a Sodom and Gomorrah in the earth, having an America, all right, in the earth, that's going to be no more westernization. And nah, man, we'll never have to deal with that again. You see, things are going to be judged at its root. It's not going to be able to grow and spread throughout the earth, man. Okay, and the end of these times will be marked by what? 2nd Ezra 7:43. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time. Okay, so it's going to be a day of doom, a time of doom, of destruction, because the Lord's going to show power like he's never had. That's why the reason it says what this is going to be the worst time ever, because the judgment is going to be the worst ever, man. Okay, because society is out of bounds like never before, man. Okay, following the rule of Esau Edom. Okay, so reading on 2nd Ezra 7:43 said, But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Okay, so this place is going to end in doom and destruction. And what we're seeing is things trending, everything is trending their way. Everything is trending towards civil unrest, war, okay, and the return of Yahweh Shah, man. Okay. Verse 44 says, Intemperance is at the end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Okay, and that's why truth is abounding. And the only thing that's making sense is the truth. The only thing that's making sense in the planet Earth is the truth, man. Everything else, okay, is becoming more foolish, man. Even what Esau is trying to do with this new world order, with the digital, is foolish, man. Okay, the truth is making sense of the matter. Okay, it's bringing clarity to all the madness that's going on in the earth, man. And it's coming through, the Lord's prophets, man. Okay, so let's play this. You have these cities counseling, their annual New Year's Eve events. And like I said, this devil, he's going to spin this narrative. Especially when this devil does things like this, I always pay attention to why he's doing it. Okay, because that's what he's going to use to spin a particular narrative, man. Okay.
Here inside the United States and abroad are canceling some of their New Year's Eve celebrations. Even some countries are canceling their celebrations as well because of the threats to their citizens and because of costs. I'm going to break down what's going on, but the most concerning one is the threats to the people. We've already seen it here inside the United States, where the FBI busted a group of individuals that were set to carry out a New Year's Eve attack somewhere in Los Angeles. That right there is concerning, but now because of that and other threats around the world, many major cities, including Paris and Tokyo and Sydney, are canceling all their celebrations. Just look at this. It says, public safety concerns lead to cancellation of major New Year's Eve events. What to know. Paris, Tokyo, and Belgrade call off events following FBI bust of alleged LA bombing plot. That's what we learned just a week ago, that they were canceling all of their festivities. All of these celebrations are being canceled. But guess what? Here in the United States, for the bigger celebrations, like in New York City, it is still going to go on. But according to experts, they say that you need to be vigilant or hyper vigilant. If you see something, say something. Go ahead and report it immediately. Because again, we are at a heightened threat environment.
Because you have all these countries, okay, that are canceling, but in America, the party goes on. You see, that's why it's going to take the missiles to end the party in America, man. Okay? America don't give a damn what's going on in the earth. And even, though a lot of these things are planned and, staged, and, but real people do get hurt in these events. Okay? When the Esau does these things. All right? But it just shows you which a brother can post it, just in the days of Sodom. Either the one in Matthew or the one in Luke 17th chapter. Get the one that Baba Kashab, the one in Luke, the 17th chapter, if a brother can post it. I believe it'll start at maybe verse 21. Well, 20, I think it's on down. If a brother can post that in Luke, it shows you that you and Americans have no awareness. You see, because people crave to go to these parties because it gives them a sense of refreshment. Them surviving 2025 and hopefully 2026. Okay, looks better. Okay. Yeah, so Luke 17 and 26. Yeah, well, I might read that in the AMP since I'm looking at it. I'm gonna let this play. The AMP got some. Unless a brother can post it in the AMP Bible shop, Luke 17, verse 26 through let's go. (17) verses 26 to 30 in the AMP. If a brother can do that, the AMP got a little heat on it. So let's let this play some more. All right.
Environment at this time. According to many experts, they say we have multiple red flags going on right now. And the safest thing to do is actually stay home. Now, I'm giving you this. We're 5 days away from New Year's Eve. Today is December 26th. So we're coming to the end of 2025. But what many don't want is the new year to start off with a bang, a literal bang. Nobody wants that. Look at this right here. I'm gonna go over the list of some of these cities that are canceling their New Year's Eve celebrations. Again, this list just shows how serious some of these countries and cities are taking this. Look at this right here. Okay, Bali is one of the names on the list. They are going to cancel their firework display and their concert for New Year's Eve 2026. We also got Belgrade. Hong Kong is on the list. It says the Hong Kong government has canceled its traditional fireworks display for New Year's Eve this year, and instead, an alternative countdown event will be taking place. Okay. Also have Jakarta. The Jakarta provincial government confirmed the 2026 New Year's Eve fireworks display was canceled on Friday. Monaco is also canceling their display as well. We have Paris is on the list. It says in Paris, the concert planned for New Year's Eve this year has been canceled, according to local news. It says there will be a fireworks display, though, so not all celebrations have been canceled. It does say that Sydney, New Year's Eve's fireworks have been canceled in Sydney this year after the mass shooting on Bondi Beach. The display was set to draw in 15,000 people to Bondi Beach. Okay. Now, the last one is Tokyo right here. It says the New Year's Eve countdown event held in front of Shibuya Station in Tokyo has been canceled this year after officials said they were concerned about the large crowds gathering around the station. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, this is where things get interesting, because, and not interesting in a good way, and it's all because of this right here. Okay, there were 4 people that were charged. Okay, they were already indicted for their plotting of a New Year's Eve attack in Southern California. Now, according to the FBI knows the certain businesses that they're going to hit, but they haven't and will not release that information, which is possibly a good thing, because that right there could actually cause chaos and people could be up in a frenzy. Now, why is this interesting at this time?
And they want people to be in fear, because that's going to be one of the promises of the digital system is security. So they want people to be in fear. They want instability so they can promise stability with this new digital system. All right. Because they want to justify this digital public infrastructure that they're getting ready to roll out. You see, this will be a perfect narrative where they can spin it and say, this is why we need more cameras. This is why we need digital ID. We can't even have our, usual, festivities because, how unsafe it's gotten, so this new system, okay, is going to promise security as well. We know that's one of the narratives, that's one of the things that how he markets, this new system, AI and this and that, surveillance and digital ID is that's what he leads off with is security, and safety. Okay. You go to China, they tell you the crime is 0%, because of surveillance and so this is another narrative that the devil, can use, okay, to justify, this DPI, this digital public infrastructure, so don't be surprised if he does that, that becomes talking points, all right, behind, this cancellation of New Year events throughout the world, all right, and this is how it's a global agenda because, he's speaking on, global, okay, cities canceling these things, all right, so let's play this.
Well, for multiple reasons. Some of these cities and countries are canceling their New Year's Eve celebrations, their parties, because of the threats. But others and many individuals are doing this as well. They're canceling their celebrations, and they're doing it just recently because they've realized it's actually going to be very expensive. I actually talked to a community member. We exchanged emails over the past week or so, and he said his initial email they sent to me was this, I quote, "This year has been one of the worst years on record as far as profits go. Every year I throw a big event for New Year's Eve that I'm hoping will bring in additional business. I'm hoping this year it will help us bounce back, but I'm not too optimistic based off what I've seen recently." That's what he said. Now, here's what's interesting. Not only are people canceling their celebrations, we are also seeing restaurants are canceling their celebrations, bars, taverns, they're canceling their celebrations. We've also seen just recently some casinos are actually changing what they were previously doing. Instead of making it some big event, it's really just going to be another day. But all this is happening for 2 main reasons. Number one, we are seeing less interest in celebrating New Year's Eve because of the costs associated with it. Going and buying drinks and food and party stuff, it just doesn't make sense when so many people have been struggling over the past year. Not only that, though, the price of alcohol has gone up. As a result, many people can't afford it. As a result, why are they going to host a party where we're just going to drink juice and water? It makes no sense. So, this is why I bring this to your attention. This year could be completely different. We may not see, all the different fireworks shows.
Yeah, man. People can't afford it. Like I said, people had dry Christmas. People boycotted Christmas. Okay, then you come right back in New Year's, have to spend some more money partying. Nah, man. People, all right. The economy is not allowing people, okay, to have their mirth, and this is designed this way, all right, because this new system is going to promise, financial prosperity as well. Okay. So they're sabotaging, society, okay, because they're getting ready to present this new world order, okay, as a fix-all, okay, to the financial situation, to the security situation, okay, to, the safety, the health, he's going to present it as a fix-all, okay. So he's allowing society, all right, to go to the dumps. Okay. He's allowing crime to run rampant. He's allowing, all right, the money, to inflate. Okay. To where people are being priced out of living, being afforded to live. Okay. So you have to understand that these things are being done intentional. Now, I think he's going to play a clip. Okay. You let it play some more.
Around the world. I remember every year, I'd watch the fireworks over the Sydney Harbor. Okay? I'd watch every single year. Been doing it for I don't even know how long. I'd watch the ball drop in Times Square. I'd watch every single year. I'd watch it. Then I'd obviously watch the fireworks off the Space Needle here in Seattle. So those are just some of the things that I do every single year. Every single year. That, and again, we're not going to see it all this year. Okay, we're not going to see the one in Sydney. We're still going to see the one in New York. Still see the Space Needle do their thing. A little different this year.
It is potential radicalism.
Then let's talk about it.
A beautiful and spectacular event, and it has all been canceled because the French government can no longer keep its own people safe from potential radical Islamic terrorists that they have welcomed into their country. This is not singular to Australia or France. It is everywhere now, including in Germany, where many are too scared to go to the country's many famous Christmas markets because they are now so dangerous. They're such a target for radical Islamists.
Terrorists have struck 7 European Christmas markets since 2014, 3 in France and 4 in Germany, all carried out by men of Muslim or Middle Eastern backgrounds.
So right there in certain countries,
So they're pushing the narrative of Islamic extremists, which we know they want to link us to that. Okay, in 2026, don't be surprised if one of these niggas crash way out. Esau activates one of these niggas to crash out and link us to that. Okay, the Islamic extremists. You see, so that narrative is thrown in the mix of why they're counseling these things. Okay, so what are they going to say? Whether we had surveillance, we had digital ID, we can keep up with this. Y'all will be good. Everything will be safe. Okay, so just prepare, all right, for that nigga to try to run with that narrative. So I'm gonna queue up another video, but I'm gonna get some of these precepts as well. All right, because the mirth, all right, the mirth is ceasing. Brother can post that in Isaiah 24. Okay, but let's get this the brother beyond Yashala, but the brother can post that to Isaiah 24. Yep, the mirth is gone. Yep, that's the spirit. You see? Yeah, it's out of there. Nigga hurt. You can't afford, all right, the Patron this year. Okay? Christmas just hit, if you did the Christmas, you just, in debt, then you're trying to party ain't nothing to party about. Okay, then you niggas, the job market, okay, is constantly being shrunken. You know, there's a lot of videos going into the job market going to 2026. I found this one I'm gonna play, but there's a few of them, Lord, where I can tap in today, get some things queued up for tomorrow. You know, we tap in tomorrow, Alpha. But this is the brother Beyond Yashala, Luke 17 and 26 in the AMP. And just as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be, all right, in the time of the second coming of the Son of Man. Okay? And when you go into the days of Noah, well, what was going on? Because you see in America, they're still trying to celebrate, all right, and you know, trying to establish some type of mirth. Okay, they're forcing it. A lot of people are forcing it, man. You see, like they're good, man. People are hurt, all right, because their mirth, okay, is being stripped away. And ultimately, it's the Lord doing it. He's using the elites to dismantle this place, all right. But ultimately, it's the Lord doing it, man, because there's a punishment coming to the elites, all right, to the Joe Six Packs, to the straight nigga and nigga woman, okay, walking America with pride and rebellion. You see, it says, verse 27, all right, Luke 17 and 27 said the people, all right, were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were giving into marriage, all right. It said they were indifferent to the Most High in complete rebellion. So these people, you know, that you see complaining in these compilations of people catching hell, well, these people are in rebellion. Okay, you're constantly participating in a rebellion, okay, and you're being judged. Okay, it says they were being given in marriage, they were indifferent to the Most High until the day that Noah, okay, went into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Okay, so these people, especially you Americans, man, they're going to be trying to force, you know, normalization. They're going to be trying to party and kick it, and you know, trying to make it like it's normal until they can't. Okay, until judgment, all right, prevents them. Okay, it says, verse 28, it was the same. Okay, verse 28 says it was the same as it was in the days of Lot. People were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planting, they were building, carrying on business as usual. Okay, without regard, you see, without regard for their sins. Because no one's talking about repentance, man. Everyone's complaining and crying and, you know, trying to force it and, you know, going in debt to try to celebrate these holidays, but no one's talking about repentance. That's not an outcry. Okay? And this is the reason why judgment is coming, because this earth is in complete rebellion. Okay? And there's no reverence for Yahweh by Shemal Shah. So the Lord's going to make himself known by bringing torments on these people, man. Okay? It says, but on the very day that Lot left Sodom, which Lot represents the elect, righteous Lot. Okay? So he was vexed. Remember, they said Lot was vexed. Okay? Just like Ezekiel 9 and 4 said the elect, you know, would be crying for what? The abominations. You see, and that was Lot. He was, you know, he was vexed about the society of Sodom and Gomorrah, man. You know, but it says what? In the very day, the very day that Lot left, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Okay? Just like as soon as the elect are on those chariots, America is over with. Okay? It says, but on that very day that Lot left Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone, burning sulfur from heaven, and destroyed them all. Okay? And this is what's coming to America. The elect are going to be extrapolated, taken up in those chariots, removed. And as the elect are being removed, missiles are going to be coming down. As the elect are going up, missiles are coming down. Okay? To destroy everything that's ground zero in America, man. Okay, everything and everyone. Verse 30 says it will be, okay, it will be just the same on the day that the Son of Man is revealed, when he's revealed to the earth in that chariot, man, with all that power. Okay. So let's go back here and play this. I think the brother posted. Let me see. Yeah, this the brother. All right. Mark Ball, Isaiah 24:8. It says, the mirth of the tabret ceaseth, the noise, all right, of them that rejoicing ended, the joy of the harp ceaseth. So the Lord is bringing the cease, okay, to their party and be their spirit, that drives America. Okay. We're seeing this place being broken down. You see, and people can't afford to even try to fake it anymore. Okay, it's getting hard. You see, but people are going to be trying their damnness, okay, to keep the spirit alive, okay, until their judgment comes, man. All right, this is the brother beyond Yashala, Isaiah 24:10. The city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. So we're seeing people become more isolated. Okay, we're seeing this place, just being broken down. Okay, the economy is trash, the job market is trash. All right, civil unrest is looming, violence, mass shootings. Okay, government is just, shutdowns. It's just being broken down. Failure after failure, man. Let down after let down. Okay, if your hope is in this world, okay, you're going to be disappointed like never before. Brother can post there, Isaiah, is that 30:30? Your trust in Egypt shall be your confusion. Okay, so let's play this. And I apologize. This is a funny looking fella here. He's a weird guy. But he got some, some pretty good info. I apologize for the weirdness and the funny looking. But yeah, just going into the job market, going into 2026, how it's projected to be worse than 2025. Okay, because 2025 drug people, okay, down the interstate. Okay, and 2026 looks to be the same.
56,740 layoffs are now confirmed for Q1. Associate's degree holders are failing to out-earn high school graduates. 15 million working-age Americans are not gainfully employed going into the new year. And we're entering the weakest hiring projections in half a decade. This is the 2026 job market forecast. In 2025, 1.17 million Americans lost their jobs to layoffs. And unfortunately, that trend isn't letting up going into 2026. By federal law, most companies have to give at least 60 days notice before laying off their staff. And those notices are compiled into WARN Act reports, which allow us to see what companies in what states are laying off how many workers. As of right now, we're looking at 56,740 confirmed layoffs going into the first quarter of the year. Layoffs that are mostly being driven by corporate restructuring, the financing of AI, and a weird uptick in companies abusing the H-1B worker system.
So going into 2026, all right, it's already guaranteed 56,000 layoffs. Okay. Which this is the time when people are the most vulnerable because they spent all this money during the holidays. Okay. So now 2026, you are already first quarter 56,000 out of there. Okay. This is already guaranteed before the ball drops. Okay. So these people are looking at 2026 with fear, uncertainty, man. Okay.
Restructuring-based layoffs in 2025 were mostly driven by the slashing of federal grants and by acquisition-induced bloat reduction. So what does that mean in English? Here in the US, we have a bad habit of creating what are called diamond-shaped companies, where you have a small handful of people at the top making actual decisions, a small handful of people at the bottom doing the actual work, and then a ton of coordinators in the middle who get paid $100K a year to cut breakroom donuts into fifths and to doom scroll on LinkedIn. So once that company gets bought by a different company, the new company goes, oh my God, you guys spent millions of dollars a year on the salaries of people who aren't really productive. So those people get laid off, creating what a lot of news outlets called the middle management purge in 2025. But another major source of restructuring came from just how many federal contracts were slashed by the government this last year. It's difficult to say just how much money was removed from the contract pool because admittedly a political controversy surrounds this topic. You had Doge claiming 55 billion while other fact checkers claimed that it was somewhere in the single digits. But regardless of the true amount, what we do know is that billions of dollars that normally funded researchers, analysts, and engineers at private companies outside of the federal government went away, causing those companies to lay off those workers instead of funding the salaries themselves. Now, the second big driver of layoffs is, of course, the financing of AI. Companies are dumping trillions of dollars into AI programs right now, which unfortunately haven't led to any real return on investment unless you happen to make chips or data centers. And this puts us in a bit of a lose-lose situation with the job market going into 2026. If companies keep funneling more money into AI, then they're going to keep laying off workers in order to afford to do so. But if companies don't keep funneling money into AI and the bubble bursts, then the United States might experience one of the worst recessions in its history, which
No
again
good news.
just lead to a bunch of
Either way it go, you done. Okay? Either way, it's set up to where it's just a lose-lose. Okay? Because these companies, all right, they're in the AI race. Okay? Because AI this is Esau's hope. Okay? It's a system, all right, that's ran by AI. So he's throwing everything at AI and he's slashing, okay, everything that's, he deems not necessary to free up money for AI. Okay? That's his crown jewel of this new world order. Like I say, when people take the C hip, all right, they're going to be linking themselves to an AI, all right, system. The digital public infrastructure is going to be ran by AI, monitored by AI. That's why it's not going to need a lot of human labor to run the system. Okay, and that's why the job market is going away. Then he's throwing around UBI as if he plans on giving billions of people UBI. No, he plans on unaliving a lot of you people. He plans on you people unaliving yourselves. Okay, when he causes these shortages and crashes and blackouts. Okay, so either way it go, you're done, man. All right, and the Lord got it set up like that. You see, to where Esau, whatever move he make, he loses. All right, these elites at the top. All right, and everything that they're doing on the top, you people at the bottom, you lose. You trust in this system, you lose. Okay? So let's play some more.
Would not be surprised if either of those two scenarios plays out going into 2026. But one thing I do want to draw your attention to, however, is just how many major tech companies are still replacing their American staff with H-1B workers, despite the federal government trying to crack down on this. If you don't know, an H-1B worker is a non-American, typically with a college degree, who comes to the United States in order to fill a skills gap at a company. In theory, this system makes a lot of sense and is a really effective way to bring high-quality workers from other countries into the United States. In practice, though, look, I'm not going to make any accusations here, but I do think it's just a little suspicious that Amazon claimed they needed to lay off 30,000 American workers this year, only to then get approved to hire 40,000 H-1B workers. But like I said, I'm not accusing them of anything, and the federal government is trying to crack down on this, so I imagine that this will be a pretty big conversation.
And the government is not cracking down on the goddamn thing. Okay? These corporations run the government. You see, the government don't tell Amazon what to do. Amazon tell the government what to do. Okay? And these other corporations. You see? And you have this H-1B1 workers, which here it is, you know, Esau's media have these Edomites in an uproar about Issachar coming to take all the jobs, the illegals. Okay, and those illegals, what do? They do construction work. Okay, so a lot of the houses and restaurants and hotels that you people enjoy were built by illegals. And you don't, and you people, you Americans don't want to do any other work that the Issachar, all right, that Issachar, the illegals. Okay, any work that the illegals do, you Edomites don't want to do their work. Okay, harvesting, you know, picking crops. Okay, you Edomites was crying, you know, when they was getting deported. Okay, well, see, these corporations, they can fly in, they can fly in H-1B1. Okay, these workers from these other nations for cheaper labor. Okay, non-union. You see, so this is a very hypocritical system, man. You know, and I'm just really, you know, learning that from this video. All right, that these corporations just can fly in. Okay, these people from other countries. All right, to work these jobs. Okay, but then they have you mad at, you know, every Israelite you see, as if they're the reason why the economy is so bad. Okay, because you low tier Americans don't know a goddamn thing. You don't know how your country works. You don't know how your government works. All right, you don't understand the scam. Okay, of your own government, man. Okay, and that's why it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse, man. All right, for you low tier Edomites. Okay, no one feels sorry for you, man.
Around labor going into 2026. But regardless of your personal feelings around that, one thing that we all can't afford to ignore is the fact that there are now 14.8 million working age Americans who are not gainfully employed going into the new year. As of this month, the U6 unemployment measure in the US, when seasonally adjusted, is 8.7%. And if you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, that's double the official unemployment rate being touted by news outlets and government agencies, then you'd be onto something. The official unemployment rate in the US is now sitting at 4.6%, up only 0.2 percentage points over 2025, despite over 1 million Americans getting laid off and not necessarily landing on their feet. See, the problem with the official unemployment rate in the US, also known as the U3 measure, is that it stops counting people who continue to be unemployed for more than 4 weeks. It stops counting people who take on temporary or gig work in order to pay the bills. And it stops counting people who have given up entirely. So if you get laid off from your job.
So the numbers is rigged, man. And I knew, you know, through the spirit, man, I knew that them numbers couldn't be right with all these people losing these jobs, man. And for the unemployment rate to only go up 0.2%. Okay. But then you see how this nigga measure it. So if you're unemployed longer than 28 days, they stop counting you as unemployed. What sense do that make? Okay, that's why that number don't move much, man. Because if you're unemployed after 28 days, you fall off, okay, the chart. You see? So all these people that's unemployed and remain unemployed, they're not being counted as unemployed anymore, man. Anymore. The number is way worse than 4.6%. You know? But listen to the metrics of this devil, man. I knew that nigga was lying, you know, but when he said it just confirmed, you know, with the spirit, because it don't add up with reality, man. Okay? Let's play this again.
See, the problem with the official unemployment rate in the US, also known as the U3 measure, is that it stops counting people who continue to be unemployed for more than 4 weeks. It stops counting people who take on temporary or gig work in order to pay the bills, and it stops counting people who have given up entirely. So if you get laid off from your job and it takes you more than 28 days to find a new job, then the federal government just magically doesn't consider you unemployed anymore and instead labels you as marginally attached. If you get laid off and then immediately start mowing lawns in your neighborhood in order to pay for next week's groceries, even if that isn't enough at all for you to live off of, then you are no longer considered unemployed either, because you're technically making money. And if you get laid off and decide to start playing Fortnite in your mother's basement instead of looking for a job, then the federal government labels you as discouraged, and you magically no longer count as being unemployed either. Instead of being counted in the official unemployment rate, marginally attached and discouraged workers count as part of the U6 unemployment measure, which is currently sitting at 8.75% of the civilian labor force, totaling 14.8 million people. As a job.
Goddamn devil, man. You know, I got another video. That's the main point I wanted to get out of that. You know, that nigga scaring the numbers. You know, and it's way worse than what's being reported. All right, and you can just do that by checking the temperature, you know, on the internet, man. Okay, so I got one more video because this also the year that this devil, you know, is saying that AI is going to reach a certain level. You know, AI is going to be, you know, it's supposed to take a major leap, you know, so we could see some things. All right, dealing with AI. Okay, so this is a video. It said Google's AI boss just gave a terrifying preview of 2026. You know, so it's projected that AI is going to make, you know, a particular leap, you know, forward. All right, in what it's able to do. Okay, so let's play this.
Picture this. You're doing an oil change on your 2009 BMW. You have no idea what you're doing. So you pull out your phone, point the camera at your engine, and an AI voice calmly walks you through every bolt, every torque spec, every O-ring, like a mechanic is standing right next to you. That's not 2030. That's happening right now. And according to Google's AI boss, Demis Hassabis, 2026 is about to make that look like child's play. Today, we're diving into a recent interview where Demis Hassabis, the guy running Google DeepMind, basically sketched out the next 12 months of AI. And let me tell you, if he's even half right, we're not just getting smarter chatbots, we're getting Omni models, AI that can see, hear, speak, move, remember, plan, and even build entire worlds you can walk around in. Buckle up, this is going to be wild. So what the heck is an Omni model? Think of it like this. Right now, most AI is like a Swiss Army knife. You've got a tool for text, a tool for images, a tool for video, all separate blades. Hassabis says by 2026, Google's Gemini will be more like a transformer robot, one unified brain that handles everything: robotics, images, video, audio, 3D, and text, all at once, all talking to each other. He calls it convergence of modalities. I call it AI finally growing up. And here's the kicker. Because Gemini was trained multimodally from day one, it's already showing what Hassabis calls cross-pollination. The image system doesn't just draw pretty pictures, it understands them well enough to create accurate infographics and diagrams. The robot brain doesn't just move, it reasons before it acts. This isn't Frankenstein's monster stitched together from spare parts. This is one coherent system that's learning to do everything. Let's start with the physical world. Google's Gemini Robotics 1.5 is already doing things that sound like science fiction. Picture this, an Aloha robot sorting fruit by color. Sounds simple, right? But here's the twist. It thinks step by step before it moves. It observes the table, plans the action, executes, then reobserves and adjusts. Or how about this? An Apollo humanoid doing laundry. You tell it, put whites in white bins, darks in dark bins. Halfway through, you swap the bins. The robot notices, pauses, updates its plan, and keeps going. But my favorite? The compost robot. You ask it to sort trash using San Francisco's local waste rules. The robot doesn't have those rules memorized. So what does it do? It Googles them, pulls up the city guidelines, reads them, then sorts accordingly. This is not scripted behavior. This is agentic reasoning in a robot body. And by 2026, Hassabis says these robots will have better perception, longer planning horizons, and tighter links to world models. Translation? Robots that can actually help in your home or workplace, not just demo in a lab. Now, let's talk visuals. Google's Nano Banana Pro is their latest image model, and it's doing something sneaky. Most image generators work like this. You type a prompt, the AI spits out a picture. Done. Nano Banana Pro? It generates the image, then inspects it, like a designer doing a self-review. It checks the layout, the text, the relationships between objects. If something's off, like a mislabeled chart or a wrong object count, it fixes it before showing you. That's why it's so good at infographics and diagrams. It's not just drawing, it's thinking about what it drew. And on the video side, Google's V3 model is already being called pretty much the leader in image-to-video generation. High fidelity, smooth motion, strong consistency. By 2026, expect video generation grounded in full conversations, not just single prompts. More control over camera movement, pacing, narrative structure. And better integration with world models, so characters and objects behave consistently across multiple clips. In other words, video won't be a side tool. It'll be how AI thinks. Let's talk about your new AI mechanic. Imagine this. You're trying to change the oil on a BMW. Instead of getting lost in YouTube rabbit holes, you have a calm expert standing right next to you, watching through your phone's camera. That's Gemini Live. This is a real demo. A guy points his phone at his engine bay. Gemini instantly checks that he has the right oil, 5W40, the correct filter, and all the right tools laid out. Then it walks him through it, step by step. It guides him on lifting the car safely, points out the exact location of the drain plug, tells him where to position the drain pan, and reminds him to install a new washer. It even gives him the exact torque spec, 18 foot-pounds, no guessing. Then the guy holds the old filter. Gemini spots it immediately, points out the 2 tiny O-rings that absolutely have to be replaced, and even explains the best way to pry them off without damaging anything. To finish the job, it tells him the BMW N54 engine takes precisely 6.9 quarts of oil, notes that there's no physical dipstick, and then walks him through using the electronic oil level sensor on the dashboard. This is the future of learning on the fly. No more searching. Just ask, show, and do. By 2026, expect this to be faster, smarter, and able to handle way more complex tasks. Now, let's leave the garage because this is where it gets really sci-fi. Google's AI chief, Demis Hassabis, is personally working on something called world models. The flagship is Genie 3, and it's not what you think. You type a text prompt, but instead of getting an image or a video clip, you get a world. A world you can walk inside and explore in real time. Google's own words are, these are not games or videos, they're worlds. Here's what makes this so insane. First, it's interactive in real time. The environment responds instantly as you move. Second, it has world memory. You can paint on a wall, walk around the block, come back, and your paint is still there. The world remembers. Third, you can prompt new events on the fly. Add a character, a vehicle, a surprise rainstorm, whatever you can think of. The obvious use case is gaming, sure. But the deeper opportunity here is training and simulation. Imagine robots learning to navigate complex environments before a single physical one is built. Firefighters running disaster drills in a perfect replica of your city. surgeons practicing a new procedure. By 2026, these world models could be a standard tool for robotics, science, and education. So we have an AI that guides you in the real world and an AI that builds virtual worlds. The last piece of the puzzle is the agent army. Instead of one single AI trying to do everything, imagine a team of specialized AIs, each with its own tools and goals, working together on a massive task. Google is building one called Co-Scientist. It acts like a virtual research partner. It doesn't just search and summarize papers. It generates testable hypotheses, designs the experiments to prove them, and proposes original research directions. It actually thinks. Another one, Alpha Evolve, is a coding agent that doesn't just write code, it actively explores the infinite space of algorithms to discover fundamentally better methods. Hasabi's is upfront that these agents aren't reliable enough yet to fully automate a long project, but that is exactly where all the investment is going. By 2026, expect to see AI agent teams that can run entire projects, coordinating with each other to deliver results that would take human teams months. So let's recap. By 2026, we're looking at a world with robots that reason before they move, AI-generated images and video that can inspect and improve themselves, live assistants guiding you through complex real-world tasks, entire interactive worlds generated from a single line of text, and armies of AI agents collaborating on scientific discovery. This isn't just another small step. This is a full-stack omni-model reality coming together. And here's the thing to remember. Google was caught completely flat-footed when ChatGPT launched. They looked slow. But now, they're not just catching up. They are building the fundamental infrastructure to dominate the next era of AI. 2026 is going to be intense. And if you're not paying attention, you are going to wake up in a world that looks very, very different. So, are you ready?
Yeah, man. So you see it. All right. And these devils, okay, they're fully invested, and before I get this last precept, because as we constantly bring it out, this is what these devils are on. All right, because the person of the year for Time Magazine, let me see. Is it on? There you go. Okay, come. So you look at the Time Magazine. All right, the person of the year. Okay, or who? All right, these AI. Okay, tech giants. Okay, so this is what the devil is on. Person of the year, the architects of AI. You see, so this is what Esau, all right, is putting his treasure into. This is what he's putting everything. He's pouring everything into this. Okay, to try to pull off upsetting prophecy, man. Okay, so prepare this devil to pull out all stops. He's perfecting, the AI, and he can do false flags, and he can, because he's perfecting that thing. And you best believe, man, he gets it to, a point to where it's hard to tell the difference between AI and reality. Okay, because right now there's certain things still being pointed out, spotted out, dealing with AI, but you best believe he wants to perfect that thing, all right, to the point to where when he goes with his propaganda, it's going to be extremely believable, man. And you have people looking forward to this technology, man, because he presented that. You go into that video, he presented that as just being the help. All right, he didn't go into the aspect of, all right, a surveillance state, the social credit score, programmable money. Okay, no privacy, digital enslavement. He didn't talk about that. He just talked about, the cute things that Esau promised AI can do. Build you a world, pretty much create you a portal. All right. And he's talking about, that the AI is going to be reasoning. The AI can't reason, man. Okay. It's operating off input. Okay. At the end of the day, the AI needs input, because if you shut down the data, the AI will shut down. Okay. It's just constantly being trained and getting more and more data. Okay. But they push it as if, AI is growing into consciousness, man, which is a goddamn lie. Okay. So when you go to Matthew 24 and 24, it says, for false anointed, all right, and false prophets will appear, and they will provide great signs and wonders. Okay, because the major false prophet, the false anointed, is Esau Edom. He presents himself as if he's the chosen nation, all right, to deliver to deliver salvation to the world through technology, man. Okay. Of course, you got niggas like Genesis and, guys like, Alazar and, ISUPK. Okay. But they're under the banner, okay, of the false prophet, man, which is Esau Edom. Okay. And he's going to present this technology, all right, as if it's salvation. Okay. And he's going to be able to do great signs. That's why scriptures talk about what? Lying wonders. Okay. So as to deceive, if possible, even the elect, the most high chosen ones, man. So this devil finna bring, he's finna bring out the stops, man. Okay. And all this is leading to the second coming, okay, of Yahweh Shai. So let's get some of these words. Okay. That's why scripture says it's a lying wonder. It's a wonder, he's doing things that, never been done, but it's a lying wonder. This man is exaggerating. Okay. So you go into this word signs. Okay. And the fact that the devil is trying to do this is an indicator, okay, of who he is, the wicked that will be revealed. Okay. Because you go into the word sign in the Greek.
Strong's G 4592, Semayon.
Semayon. All right. Which it says a sign, a prodigy, a portent. It says an IE. It says an unusual occurrence transcending the common course of nature. So this devil, has technology, that transcends the common course of nature. Okay, he's tapped into another level of synthetic. Okay, but it's called what? Artificial intelligence, man. It's really not intelligent, it's artificial. Okay, but he could present it, as if, he's able to create consciousness. Okay, because this is him trying to pretend to be the Most High. All right, and you have people that's excited about this technology, man, and it's going to be presented in a way that's salvation, man. So as you see, he's running everything to the ground, sabotaging these different governments. But then on the flip side, he's presenting AI as a fix-all. Okay, which is going to be a major part, all right, of this digital public infrastructure. It's going to be AI. That's what's going to run the joint. Okay, and that's what the masses are going to be answering to AI. They're going to be getting scored. The social credit score is going to come from AI. Okay, he's not building you. He's not building you niggas a personal mechanic. That ain't his agenda when he, all right, goes into AI's build. All right, a personal mechanic for you and your BMW. Okay, he's building you a supervisor, management. Your new government is going to be AI. Okay, so now when you jump down, because it speaks about these false prophets and lying wonders and signs. Okay, when you jump down a few verses. Okay. verse 30, it says, and at that time, the sign of the Son of Man coming in his glory, you see, will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth, and especially Israel, will mourn, regretting their rebellion and rejection of the Messiah, 2/3. All right. They're going to be lumped up with these heathens and get judged, man. Because the Lord raised up prophets to warn Israel, man. But all these heathens, they're going to be in a terrible state when Yahushua returns, man. And he going to break all this shit up that Esau is trying to establish, man. Okay, he says, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, the chariot, with power and great glory and brilliance and splendor. And he will send his angels, all right, with a loud trumpet, and they will gather together his elect, the Most High chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Okay, so Yahushua is going to come in the midst of this devil, all right, trying to establish, this madness in the earth. Okay, and he's going to come, all right, and wage war in righteousness and deliver his elect, man. Okay, so that's the point. All right, just wanted to get into that this morning. Yeah, man, 2026, is looking promising, for prophecy. All right, it's starting off, with a bang, with bad news already. Okay, and the devil is showing you what he's invested into. Okay, this AI, which is a major part of the MOTB system. Okay, so he's setting the stage. Okay, to make this thing mandatory. Okay, because the infrastructure, the plumbing, all right, has to be in place. Because he needs a system to plug you into. Okay. So, Lord will you, brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time, I say shalom. Kwame Yashala, Abba, soon, shalom.